What's up, my people? This is what you need. It's pretty late in the night, about 9:30 in the night. Um, but let's get into this video. What it's about. John Ryder versus Callum Smith. I just watched the fight. So now I can make an assessment about John Ryder. I can make an assessment about Callum Smith. First thing I'm going to say is I realized that John Ryder is a southpaw. So I thought that was interesting. He would therefore be giving some different angles and different looks to Callum Smith. Um, so let me give you my scorecard so you guys will understand where I'm coming from with this fight. And then from there, I'll also give you what I thought. So the early rounds went to Callum Smith pretty much, most of them at least. Why? John Ryder was feeling him out. John Ryder was working his way to the inside. Even when he got Callum Smith to the ropes, he let him off the hook after landing maybe one or two punches on the ropes. Callum Smith was able to turn John Ryder and therefore be with his back to the center of the ring and fight him. From range, Callum Smith was landing some pretty good shots initially on John Ryder, even though John Ryder was picking off most of his shots, blocking most of his shots. John Ryder proved to be a very sturdy fighter as well. So all of those things I noticed. So out of the first 6 rounds, I gave John Ryder 1 round. Now, round 4 and even 3 and 2 are debatable. You could say that from the perspective of looking at what John Ryder was doing, you could say that you could have said he landed some of the better punches in that round. He didn't really have a whole set of power. Let's imagine if he had a little bit more power, what he would have done to Callum Smith. But anyway, but he was able to get to the inside of Callum Smith in those rounds as well and do some work. Now, thing about it is, Callum Smith was more active in those rounds. He was throwing a lot of jabs. He was throwing some rights to Callum Smith's head, right hooks and left hooks to the body and stuff like that. They weren't necessarily landing, but they were punches that he was being active. Okay, so he was the more active guy. And also, another thing that was noticed was even when John Ryder did something and actually had success, Callum Smith would come right back to get some success back. And I think that was because John Ryder initially was letting Callum Smith off the hook, letting him circle back to the center of the ring. Somebody's put pressure on him. He'd get him to the ropes and stuff, and then he would just he'd back off a little bit and let Callum Smith get back to the center of the ring. So initially, that's what was going on. So I had Callum Smith up 4 rounds to 1 through 5. Round 5 was definitely a John Ryder round, which he took. It was very clear. The other rounds were not that clear to see who was really winning, but you knew Callum Smith was more active, was landing some pretty good body shots and stuff like that. But round number 5 was definitely a John Ryder round. But the momentum changed. Callum Smith came back in round 6. I took round 6. Came out strong, fast. Again, he was landing some shots on John Ryder, but for the most part, his jab was a little bit on point for a little bit. Not really, because John Ryder was kind of slipping most of his punches, staying just outside of his range and stuff like that. Good head movement by John Ryder and so on, and body movement, body positioning and all of that, and his guard was good and everything. So he was picking off most of the shots. And even the shots that landed to his body, you could see he was catching them with his body. He was, And initially when John Ryder was coming in and landing body punches on Smith, on the inside when he had him against the rope, Smith was also catching most of the shots and bracing for them. But after round 6, round 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, John Ryder started putting on the heat. And he would get Callum Smith to the ropes, and he would deny Callum Smith turning him. He would deny Callum Smith circling out and escaping. And he worked that motherfucker until the 11th and 12th round. We was wondering if Callum Smith would get knocked the fuck out. Sorry about all the cursing. It was, he just constantly upped the pressure. At first, they were just circling in the center of the ring. Okay? And John Ryder started getting on the inside. Round 5, he got on the inside, had success, got Callum Smith to the ropes. He let him off the hook sometimes, but he worked, mostly he did most of the work off the ropes. Callum Smith was just bracing basically for these punches. He wasn't really firing back a lot. Man, round 7, Ryder started taking it up. He started now walking down Smith. Smith was now on the back foot, something that Smith's not really used to. He started boxing off the back foot, and Ryder would get him to the ropes. And this time, when Ryder got him to the ropes, he wasn't letting him off the ropes. He was not letting him off the ropes. Now, at a certain point in the fight, I think there was a headbutt where they clashed heads, and Smith was complaining about Ryder putting his head into his chest, because Ryder would put his head down and go into his chest, bump him into his chest, and then work him. So he was complaining about that to the ref, and the ref noted it. And then Ryder just went back to work, man. He wouldn't push his head so much, but he went back to work. And man, god damn, I'm gonna say this. Ryder, I mean, he took it up. He just kept on taking it up and up and up and up and up in that fight. Now, he's not a guy with a tremendous punching power and all of that shit, but boy, man, he reminded me of Jesus Chavez a little bit. That boy was bad. I mean, it was a beatdown. He busted up Smith's nose. Well, Smith got a cut over his eye from a headbutt. And man, 11th and 12th round was a beatdown. It culminated into a beatdown. I was wondering if Smith was going to get knocked out. It was a brutal beatdown by Ryder. And if he had a little bit more pop, he'd get him out of there. I was very impressed, because the way how Ryder was winning those rounds, round 8 was a close round. Ryder nicked it because he finished off the round, because Smith was trying to get back from round 7, but Ryder did not allow him, and Ryder finished off the round strong. The only thing was Ryder was letting Smith off the hook sometimes. He would, Smith would, because Smith was so much bigger than him, he would push him to the center of the ropes, center of the ring, and he would start clinching up. And you hear his corner say, "Man, you got to tie him up and use that jab," because he just couldn't. He didn't have an answer for Ryder on the inside. And Ryder's a guy that he worked the body, a hard worker. You can see that he's strong, and he's southpaw. And boy, and I like how he got his body in position also to land certain punches where Smith couldn't counter him. He'd get off to the side of Smith and land certain shots. But boy, did Ryder do well. I mean, he definitely won the fight. Now, because he was coming from behind and I had him down on the scorecards early, he ended up winning 7 rounds to 5, but it could have easily been 8 rounds to 4. I agree with everybody that Ryder won that fight. He definitely won that fight. That's a fight he won. Callum Smith took a beating in those last 2 rounds. The championship rounds, he took a beating. He should not be right now the super champion, the WBA super champion. John Ryder deserves that. But more importantly, what I wanted to show was that John Ryder exposed that Callum Smith don't really got a good inside game. And I said that all along. Canelo, if he was to face Callum Smith, it would be easier work for him, because just like Kovalev, he ain't got inside guy. He's better than Kovalev. He's younger, he's stronger. But a guy like John Ryder, hard worker, good fighter, B-level, beat him. He beat him. And he beat him bad. And a guy like Canelo would just erase him. He would probably stop him. And that's why I guess Eddie Hearn said what he said. And what it showed us is that he don't really got inside game like that. He don't have it. He can, again, this is what I was explaining to you guys. I saw this from a long ways away. Billy Joe Saunders is a better fighter than Callum Smith and David Benavidez. Benavidez is a big, strong guy, but he ain't got no inside game either. Right? Jamal Charlo, big, strong guy, but don't got no fucking inside game. Shout out to Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, Callum beat an injured Groves in the World Boxing Super Series. We saw his true colors in the Ryder fight. I won't post much today. It's late here in the UK. Caleb, Benavidez, Billy Joe Saunders all beat Callum. Canelo KOs him. Hey, man, there you go. You agree with me. He's on borrowed time. I wouldn't say he's on borrowed time. I'm just saying he don't have no inside game like that. He's a tough guy, and he's a good competitor. All right, but he got to work, and that gonna take forever. But he has to work on his inside game. If you haven't in boxing and doing inside game, throughout your career, you're gonna have to start working on it. That's something he has to work on. He's strong though. He's tough. He didn't just cower. But I mean, I already said this. I mean, I've told you guys I didn't see any inside game with Callum Smith. That's why I thought Canelo would beat him. Um, and I also think that David Benavidez is a similar kind of fighter, and also Anthony Durrell was a similar kind of fighter. And I always keep on explaining to people, Canelo, you can't just have a jab against Canelo. I explained this over and over and over again. He's fought guys with jabs, great jabs, and he gets past them, right? So I think a lot of people just don't understand and appreciate what I say. But I always said, time will always prevail and show up what I've been saying. A lot of people are saying Callum Smith's a good fight for Canelo. I said Billy Joe Saunders. Didn't I say in a video that Billy Joe Saunders would beat Callum Smith? I said he would eat him for breakfast. David Benavidez and Callum Smith. He'd beat both of them, right? Because Billy Joe Saunders has inside game. He has all-round game, and he's a southpaw too. He got all-round game. He would devour those guys, right? You saw what he did to Andy Lee, right? He dropped Andy Lee. Why? Andy Lee's an outboxer. He fight from the outside. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says Eubanks Jr. should have replaced Groves in the WB Super Series final. Mundo Smith struggled in the semifinal of the World Boxing Super Series against a kickboxer who got a unanimous decision. Okay. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says Canelo by TKO or KO inside 9 versus Mundo Smith. Mundo Smith is Callum Smith? You got to call it. Don't do that to the man. The man can box. He can fight. He can fight. And you know what I like about these UK fighters? Luke Campbell, Callum Smith, and Josh Taylor. They got a determination. They got grit. They're not gonna just go down like that. And I like that. Those 3 young guys show me they got grit. Oh, Mundo is his nickname. Okay. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says Plant and Benavidez have inside and outside game. Benavidez don't have inside game. You guys, why do you guys dispute with me, man? Why do you guys dispute with me? Caleb Plant got inside game. Benavidez ain't got shit. He don't fight on the inside. He don't fight on the inside. Look at his fight against Anthony Durrell. If he could fight on the inside, he'd close the distance and beat up Durrell. He don't fight on the inside. He don't argue with me. Why do you guys do this? He don't have inside game. He don't. That's why Canelo would beat David Benavidez. That's why he would beat Callum Smith. That's why he beat Anthony Durrell. That's why he beat Jamal Charlo. That's not their thing. I mean, Charlo could fight a little bit on the inside, but he really have no inside game. The guy that have all-around game is Demetrius Andrade. Callum Smith can scrap a little bit on the inside. He can scrap a little bit on the inside. We saw him trying to counter John Ryder on the inside, but he don't have no inside game like that. Neither does Jamal Charlo. Neither does David Benavidez. Neither does Callum Smith. They don't. They don't even have mid-range game like that. They need to use the fucking jab. That's why they talk about the jab, the jab, the jab, the jab. How did Benavidez beat Anthony Durrell? With a jab. That's their thing. Right? Wilder could fight a little bit on the inside. Tyson Fury could fight much better than Wilder on the inside. Wilder's thing is outboxing. So, like I was saying before, them guys, I'm not, listen, I'm being validated over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Why? Because I'm not just talking out my ass. I'm talking from what people in the boxing have said. I learned from people in the boxing have said. I'm learning all the time, but I'm just saying, I'm learning. David Benavidez don't have inside game. He don't. Neither does Jose Benavidez. Them guys rangy fighters. They fight from the outside. They are boxers. So anyway, whatever. So, like I said, when you're looking at super, man, I heard something really dumb from Goodfellas Sports TV. Goodfellas Sports TV, usually he says some things that make sense, but for once I heard some shit that that made no sense to me. He said that Danny Jacobs is not a slick, skilled black boxer. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Did you see the man rolling the punches even against Canelo? Canelo couldn't hit him flush like that. He rolled both ways. Changed levels. He got so much fucking skill. He come from the southpaw stance even. All right? Danny Jacobs got a lot of skill. He's slick like fuck. You saw him against Darren Verchenko. Darren Verchenko couldn't just land on him like that. Stand right in front of you, you can't hit Danny Jacobs like that. Right? So I don't know what they're talking about. If you say Danny Jacobs is not a slick skill fighter, then I guess Andre Ward ain't a slick skill fighter. Danny Jacobs can do it all. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. Right? But once again, all I'm saying is that a lot of people say some really dumb shit. Okay? And he know better. Goodfellas Sports TV, he know his boxing. He know better. He know he talking shit. Not as good as the others, but Benavidez has a better inside game than Smith. Nah. He don't. What is Smith's inside game? Left uppercut. Left hook to the body. Rights to the body. Rights to the head. That's the same thing Benavidez have. They don't, trust me, he don't have the same kind of, he don't have that. He don't have that game. He got good rangy fighter. He just like Callum Smith. If he would have faced Callum Smith, you'd have a battle of the jabs and that kind of shit. They don't fight on the inside. They clinch up on the inside. Mr. Pigeon, Mike Tyson says, Danny is a good boxer, lacks pop against the high-level dudes. Danny Jacobs versus Charlo, I want to see. That'd be a good fight. Be a good fight. But Danny got a lot of skills. Does he lack pop against the higher level fighters? I wouldn't say so. Danny has good pop. Good pop. Good fucking pop. The thing about it is, at the higher levels, pop don't mean nothing, you know. Pop don't mean nothing. I mean, these guys that he's facing, Canelo and GGG, the only two guys, his power didn't really do much. Well, it did do to Triple G. But to Canelo, he didn't really do much against Canelo, it seemed. You know, he caught Canelo with a good right hand, but Canelo rolled it. He rode it. And Canelo got good defense himself. He's slick himself. So he also knows how to ride and roll punches and all that shit. Daddy knows how to do that too. So, very good skilled fighters. I wouldn't say he lacks pop. It's just that when you're facing a guy with... All right. Kovalev versus Andre Ward. Kovalev got pop. Good pop. Right? Great pop. Right? We saw what he does. When you get to that high level against guys like Ward, even Hopkins, who he dropped, who went the distance with him. You know, Elita Alvarez. You're talking about now the guys at the top level. So at the top level now, it's not that you lack pop. You have it. But these guys know how to nullify it. Now in the heavyweight division, Wilder was able to drop Ortiz. Why? Because Ortiz made the mistake. He walked into Wilder's trap. And Wilder sprung the trap and knocked his ass out. But against a higher tier guy like a Tyson Fury, he's not going to be able to do that. Not going to be able to do that. Unfortunately for the heavyweight division, they don't really have really top tier guys like in the lower weight divisions. You know, with the skill sets and stuff. They're still more clumsy and sloppy, and they're not as good. I mean, Wilder is one of the better, sharper heavyweights out there. Right? Anthony Joshua, he's good too, but he's slow as fuck. he doesn't get into position fast enough. So against a guy like Wilder, Wilder will get position on him and stop him. He'll stop him, right? Fury will outbox him, maybe even beat him up. And that's the thing with Anthony Joshua. He's too slow. Too slow. That's why I think Andy Ruiz is going to beat him, because Andy Ruiz gets in his foot position is much faster than Anthony Joshua. On top of that, his hand speed is just ridiculous. And Joshua's not going to be able to match that. So I just don't think that Joshua stands a chance against Andy Ruiz, to be honest with you. He thinks so, but I don't think so. I think he's walking back into fire. But yeah. So and then the guys at the higher level, they don't have the defense like that. Even King Kong Ortiz did very well against Wilder. I'm assuming. I haven't watched the fight. Probably won't ever watch the fight. But I do think that Ortiz, he's a good fighter. He's a fantastic fighter. But I think that you can't become overconfident in the ring and be doing shit like that. And he got himself duped into a shot that he should probably have not gotten hit with. That's when you become overconfident. But he was outboxing Wilder pretty easily, from what I heard. I don't know. I didn't see it. That's why I said you have to see fights to be able to determine. So I watched the Ryder versus Callum Smith, and quite frankly, Ryder versus Callum Smith shows me Callum Smith don't have that inside game that he's supposed to have. He has something there, but he's not competent in the inside game thing like that. When you're dealing with an inside fighter who could fight on the inside, and he doesn't know how to keep the inside fighter off except with a jab. So see, that's the thing. When you have guys like Canelo, or guys like Reggie's Prograis, a jab is not going to keep them from getting to the inside. It's just not going to. So what do you do in those cases? If they're going to meet you on the inside, you better have something for them. Errol Spence showed us that he was competent enough on the inside to handle a Sean Porter. Otherwise, Sean Porter would have run him through, right? So you can't just have a jab against these guys. If they get to the inside, you must be able to greet them on the inside with something. And that's why all-round game is very important in boxing. Your footwork is also very important in boxing. Your stance is also very important in boxing. Your guard is very important in boxing, and so on. Can't just be talking about the jab. Yes, how you use your jab and how you use your footwork is going to be important also, right? You have to be turning your opponent all the time. If you're going to be throwing the jab, you have to throw it off an angle and all of this stuff. But what I'm saying is that even so, if you have an inside game, the guy does happen to get to the inside, you should be competent enough to know how to handle him on the inside. And so there's all of those things that must be. There's a lot of ingredients in boxing you need to have if you want to stay champion, if you want to stay on top. And Callum Smith is wanting in that area, as was Sergey Kovalev, as is David Benavidez, and also Anthony Durrell. So I thought, I agree with Intangible Boxing, who was here. I saw you, Intangible. I saw what you were saying. And I'm about to get to you. But I agree with Intangible Boxing that the rightful winner in this fight should have been John Ryder. 8-4 or 7-5. Okay? That's my opinion. I just gave you the rounds that I thought John Ryder won. And I mean, anybody and their mama would have thought so as well. Because it looked like he was, if this was a 15-rounder, he probably would have stopped Callum Smith. He would have stopped him. And he ain't got all that great power or anything. It's just the way how he places his punches on the inside, his tenacity and his strength to keep Callum Smith in position so he could work him. And Callum Smith had no answer. He did not know what to do on the inside except for, clench up his body and stay tight and try and absorb some of the punishment. Catch certain shots and shit like that. But he didn't really know what to do. He had no answer for John Ryder, and that's not a good sign. If you had, if you talk about bring on Canelo, dude, you don't want Canelo. you should be you should be working on your game when you go back. Go back to the lab and work on your game. Intangible Boxing says Ryder got robbed. First thing we agree with in days. I didn't say he got robbed. Notice I said he was a clear winner. I did not say he got robbed. He came from behind to win this fight. But emphatically, he was winning the fight. 11 to 12 rounds, very clear. Again, I didn't say he got robbed. A robbery, remember, a robbery is where somebody's, 9-3, and they get the other guy. Even though, I have to say, though, the judges' scorecards were whack. But then again, Callum Smith's the boy, right? He's in his home court advantage. He's in his place, right? He's the star. So the judges one judge gave it 9-3, 117, 111. I was like, what the hell did they watch? I mean, I was giving Callum Smith the benefit of the doubt, and it still ended up being 7-5 for. It still ended up being 7-5 for 7-5 for John Ryder. Okay, and round 4 easily could have been a John Ryder round, but I gave it to Callum Smith because I thought he was responding back, and John Ryder wasn't doing enough to win that round. But that easily could have been a John Ryder round. So I don't know what on earth, scorecard that judge. I don't know where that judge got that from. And then the other 2 scorecards, to me, there's no way. There weren't any swing rounds. I mean, maybe round 8, but then again, because John Ryder finished that round strong, you could not give that round to Callum Smith. So I don't know what they were looking at, but me personally, when I saw when I saw the scorecards, 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4 for Callum Smith, I'm like, no, this fight was not. None of those cards are right. None of those cards are right. Anybody watching this fight knows those cards weren't right. Right? And John Ryder fought a hell of a fight. I gotta give him that. But I don't know if I would call it a robbery, because 8-4 is strong enough to say it's a robbery. But definitely those judges' scorecards were just off. I had it 7-5, so I couldn't really say. I would say it was a very close fight, and it could not have gone either way. It could have only gone John Ryder's way. But to say it's a robbery is kind of a little bit, because the margin's so small for me. The 7-5. It could have been 8-4 though. So I can't say like definitively it was a robbery, but I could say definitively that John Ryder was supposed to win that fight. Just because the margin's kind of, he took it by 2 rounds for me. My scorecard, he took it back for 2 rounds. And again, just to repeat it to the people, I thought that rounds 1-4 I gave to Callum Smith. Round 5 definitely was a John Ryder round. Round 6 was Callum Smith responding back. Round 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 were all John Ryder rounds. Round 8 was, you could see Callum Smith was trying to respond to the win that John Ryder took to round 7. He was trying to respond back. John Ryder was at certain points letting him off the hook to let him respond. But then John Ryder finished the round strong. So I could not give that to Callum Smith. I had to give it to John Ryder. I was looking to see who was going. So John Ryder took round 8. By round 10, they were dead even. And then John Ryder took 11 and 12. And emphatically. So, I busted up Callum Smith's nose. And, he did a number on Callum Smith. And I just think that he should have gotten the win. And so this is how I look at it. Even if whoever faces Callum Smith and beats him and gets the super middleweight WBA super champion title, they should give John Ryder a shot again, because John Ryder deserves to have that belt right now. That's how I look at it. So I can't say it's a robbery because the margin is small. definitely could not have gone either way. So I could understand why you say it's a robbery. But man, hell of a fight for John Ryder, and just the right style matchup. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says AJ's footwork is slow. I agree. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says AJ's defense is not as it should be. No shoulder rolls, etc. Right. So he fights a certain way. He was trying to fight with shoulder rolls and stuff for the Andy Ruiz fight, but Andy Ruiz himself is not that hard to hit. It's not that easy to hit. Sorry, my bad. When he's walking you down again, he does something like what Canelo and John Ryder do, which is he maintains range very well, and then he closes the gap and closes the distance very deceptively. So they're inching in on you all the time, pivoting and inching on you, and then they close the distance, but they keep range, but they're closing the distance at the same time. It's really brilliant. And then they go to the body very well. And one of the things that Andy Ruiz does is the jab to the pit. And that jab to the pit, if he can hit you with the jab to the pit, basically the fight is over because he can get to you anytime he wants to. So he'll use feints and stuff. That's the other thing. Callum Smith wasn't using a lot of feints to keep John Ryder off of him. He started really just trying to tee off and use his power and combinations to get John Ryder off of him. And that just, you can't do that. You can't just be using sheer force. Especially a guy that he's got good defense, he's got a good chin as well, and you're not catching him with the shots you want to catch him with him flush. Just imagine if Kovalev did that shit to Canelo. Man, that fight would have ended so soon. Canelo would have knocked his ass out much sooner. And that's why a lot of people just don't appreciate boxing, man. They don't appreciate what these guys are in there doing unless they've been in a situation like that, you know. Tangible Boxing says AJ should smother and push off against Ruiz and shift his body out of range of Ruiz's jab. Needs to pivot out the way of Ruiz straight right hand. Here's the problem. Once this fight is going on with AJ and Ruiz, Ruiz is going to close the distance. He's going to get on the inside. AJ doesn't have the hand speed and the foot speed to deal with a Ruiz on the inside. He just doesn't. And so if he tries to do his inside game shit against Ruiz on the inside, Ruiz is going to knock him out. Okay? The problem is, no matter how much pivot work and how much jabs he throws in the fight, Ruiz is going to get to the inside. It's inevitable. So here's the problem he has, and which is why this style matchup is a nightmare for Anthony Joshua. One, he's not going to be able to maintain boxing on the outside. It's not going to happen. Two, might be better if he tries to meet him in the center of the ring and tries to push him back with the jab. But he's got a problem. Ruiz doesn't just come in. He doesn't just rush in. And he's not going to just get tagged with a jab all the time. Right? He knows how to keep just outside of range. So what Anthony Joshua's going to find out is that, and Ruiz knows how to pivot around you. Even though he comes forward, he knows how to circle you. So he can circle you and still close the distance on you, you know. So he has a lot of problems. Anthony Joshua, trying to close the distance to smother Ruiz. Ruiz doesn't allow you to smother him. He doesn't allow you to smother him. He doesn't allow you to clinch him. Right? Ruiz knows how to fight out of clinch. So you have a lot of problems with Ruiz. Ruiz is a nightmare for most fighters. And he can take a punch. So, Anthony Joshua got his hands full trying to fight Andy Ruiz. It's a nightmare style matchup for a big man. Ruiz is a problem. If Anthony Joshua and Ruiz were the same height, he might have a chance. Because Ruiz sometimes he sometimes moves in, like Joseph Parker could smother him because Joseph Parker came on the inside. Ruiz is used to fighting guys tall, so he's always kind of fighting up. But against Joseph Parker, like you said, changed range, slide in. He would slide in on Ruiz. He'd get under Ruiz and slide in on him, right? But with a guy that's taller than Ruiz, now he got to change levels, get way down, and slide in on Ruiz. That's going to be hard to do. You get what I'm saying? You got to get up and under the guy to slide in onto him. and bump him with the shoulder. And if you want to clinch him up, try to lock him up. Some guys just refuse to be locked up. I remember Marcus Madonna. You know, he's one of those dudes. Canelo against Kovalov. You saw Canelo refuse to take the clinch with Kovalov. And he used a strategy where he used his hand to push against Kovalov's bicep as he was trying to clinch him. And then he would just either roll under, slip under, or use the forearm to turn Kovalov and then come with the overhand right on him. So, you know, and that was just so textbook beautiful how Canelo did that. Precision and everything. And, you know, another thing that Canelo did, when Kovalov threw the jab, Canelo would actually catch his jab and actually hold his jab. I have to demonstrate it for you to see, but so Kovalov, he would keep in other words, he would keep Kovalov's jab out there a little longer than usual. He would pin his jab outside so that then he could slip under the jab and counter him with a left hook or some shit like that. It was crazy. How he would just catch the jab. Man, shit, that details. You know who did that? Lee Wiley. Lee Wiley showed it. So you guys should go watch that shit. How he caught the jab. Not with his hand, but with... Shit, I can't show you, but he caught it with his... here. He caught it with this part of it. Here. He catch the jab here. So he's blocking it and he would catch it. He would catch the jab up inside of his it's just some crazy ass shit. And then he would slide in and then he would land whatever other punch he wanted. It's crazy what he did. It's so crazy. Because the glove now would extend past the thing and he just hooked the glove into his hand. It's some crazy shit that this... I tell you, man, Canelo's next level. Y'all, it's some subtle shit he'd be doing. Anyway. How he used the forearm is crazy, too. He used the forearm in various ways. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Yeah, so there's a reason why Canelo's able to do certain things to certain fighters. He been working on shit. But back to what I was talking about. So, yeah, John Ryder, he did a great job against Callum Smith. Great job against Callum Smith. Showed that Callum Smith, he's deficient in certain areas, and that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. That's what you guys were saying. Oh, AJ, yeah. AJ, that's what I was talking about. AJ versus Ruiz. Ruiz is going to be a problem for AJ. Ruiz is going to be a problem for AJ. What they got to hope is that the fight will somehow go the distance so AJ can get the win off the scorecards. Whether they rob Ruiz or not, that's how they'll have to go. That fight had to get to the scorecards. Woo, you guys been talking. You guys said a lot. Let me see what see what we saying here. Mr. Pigeon says you attack AJ, he's in trouble. Sometimes. It's too stiff. Interesting. No rope work for AJ too. Yeah, he don't fight off the ropes very well. You back him up, he thinks the ropes are not there. Yeah, he don't know. But you see that again, fighting off the ropes is a see, this is the thing. This is the thing. See, that's what I'm trying to explain, but I don't want to mention certain names, but fighting off the ropes is a skill in and of itself. Period. Okay? Fighting in the center of the ring is a skill in and of itself. Backing up a fight is a skill in and of itself. Fighting off the back foot, that's a skill in and of itself. And that's not... Fighting off the back foot is not necessarily fighting off the ropes. Okay? So, you know, it's there's so many skills that you have to have in boxing. All right? And then at the highest level, you need to have them honed as sharp as you can be. That's why we talk about sharpness in boxing. Right? Sharpness, how sharp you are, because that would determine how precise you would be, and so on. And sharpness don't come by anything else but repetition and practice doing the right things. You know, you're not gonna get it no other way. You know, these guys who are at the top of the game, Canelo right now, he at the top of the game. It's not by chance. This guy been working. You know, Tangible Boxing says AJ should watch Lennox Lewis versus David Tua. It don't matter what he watch right now. Y'all don't get it. He should have been practicing that shit from since he was in the amateurs. Some of this shit he just never did. So it doesn't really matter how much tips he gets. It has to be in his muscle memory. Like it's too late for that right now. AJ is a heavyweight version of Callum Smith. Yeah, sort of, kind of. Not really, but kind of. AJ liked to fight small. The problem with it is he got decent infighting skills. You know, don't get me wrong. He plays body shots pretty well and stuff, mid range. It's just he's too fucking slow for. He's too slow for Anthony Ruiz. He's too slow on the inside. You know, he's too slow for Andy Ruiz. It's gonna be. By the time he throw one punch, Andy Ruiz throw five. You know, he likes to fight on the inside. He don't really like to outbox AJ, so he got a lot more problems than Callum Smith. Cause his tendency is to want to bang with you. He like to bang. So he got a lot of problems. Then he's slow as hell. So by the time he throw the jab, Andy Ruiz done already get on the inside and throw a 4-5 punch combination or 8 punch combination. So he got a lot of problems to deal with. And he's trying to lighten up and stuff to get speed, but so is Andy Ruiz, so you know what that means. Tangible Boxer said Vlad had what it took to be a long reigning champion. Hug as much as you can and pay the referee. And he also did some little dirty tricks, like he would have extra padding in the ring so you slow down the fighter, and he had all the other little tricks he had in the trade. Boxing is such a crooked sport at times. Yeah, he had all kinds of tricks. But the thing with Vlad was he didn't really deal with faster punches or guys who were quicker than him. Vlad versus Andy Ruiz would have been hell for Vlad. It would have been hell. You know. And the Povetkin that faced the Cuban kid that knocked him out, he would have given him trouble too. But he didn't at the time. Povetkin didn't know how to deal with a guy who was bearing down his weight on you and clinching, punch and clinch kind of dude. All you do is take a step back and launch that fucking uppercut while the motherfucker trying to clinch. Then you use your forearm, brace him off, catch him with the overhand right. You see, Povetkin didn't know that shit at the time. The Tangible Boxer says, and use custom-made anti-roid agencies. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, Vlad era was bizarre, but he did his thing. Yeah, he did his thing. He had a great jab, though. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson, like Golovkin has a good jab, a solid, hard jab. Lara, Jacobs, Andre, Kovalov. Got great jabs. But Andre got a lot more. See, Andre, he's not just a jab. Andre got a whole around game. So, be hard to beat Andre like that. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says super middleweight has been in transition since Ward and Froch times. This is true. Tangible Boxing says Caleb Plant shuts Callum Smith out 120, 108. Might even stop him. Tangible, I'm saying might. I mean, Callum Smith is a tough dude, clearly. Tangible Boxing says Philly shell defense is like the Customado style. If you don't have otherworldly reflexes and athletic skills, you should never use it. Right. You need to have other skills. You need to have other guards. You can't just be using the Philly shell for everything, even though I see Tyson Fury using it a lot. You have to have other stances, other guards for sure. I agree with you on that. You know, you can't just be using that. And then customized style, you better have good cardio. That shit could wear you out. And I think some of customized style, to be honest with you, is too fucking wasting a lot of energy, to be honest with you. Like even the Philly shell defense, right? People rolling and doing it. Some people roll too excessively. Like it's supposed to be subtle. You know, you're supposed to punch the guy and just bounce off his shoulder or bounce off his elbow or some shit like that. You're not supposed to. It's supposed to be subtle. You're not supposed to have to make all this big set of movement. Like even the bobbing and weaving I see some of these guys doing is just too excessive. You know, you look again at like Canelo, how he do it. So precise, so subtle. He just moved just enough to get out the way to punch. You know, like some people would say, you know, uh, boxing is something that it deals with inches. So you just wanted to miss by just that much, an inch, because you want to be in range to counter one, and two, you also want to be in a position where you're not wasting a whole bunch of energy, because you got to go this marathon of 12 rounds. You train to go a 12-round fight. You didn't train to stop a guy. If you stop him in between, we're great. But you go in for 12. You know, do you have to have otherworldly reflexes to do the Philly shell? No, no, no. You don't have to have otherworldly. What you need to have is composure. You saw Better BF uses it, but he uses it along with blocks and high guards and other things. You know, he tough too, and you gotta be tough too. But it's your composure. It's really more about your composure and timing, because sometimes you're facing fighters who have thudding power, but they're not very fast. But you're right, though. Sometimes you have to have you need to have fast twitch muscles. It's not for everybody. Mr. Pitcher Mike Tyson said, I would be a bit pissed off if I was Ryder. I had him 7 rounds to 5, and that was being nice to Smith. It could have been 9 rounds to 3, and being real was. Like I said, I had it 7 for 5 as well. I agree with you. I had it 7 to 5. I thought it could have been 8 to 4 as well. 8 to 4. I saw he won the 4th round. You could say he won the 4th round. I gave it to Smith, because I was looking at how Smith was replying to everything he did. You know, so I gave him. He started off very well in the 4th round, though. John Ryder. John Ryder knew what was happening. He knew the deal, so he didn't protest it too much. But those of us who saw thought that he won. In terms of boxing, says AJ needs to use roughhouse tactics, grab Ruiz around his head, work with his free hand. Yep, he need to rough him up. He does need to do that. He might even need to butt him and use the elbows and shit like that. Yeah, he got to make it rough and rugged. Even though that kind of plays into Ruiz's hands, because Ruiz is a rough and rugged guy, but he's gonna have to do some dirty shit as well to try and win, because it's gonna be a problem with Ruiz. Tangible boxing, use height. If he uses height, Ruiz is gonna catch him. He got to, like Kovalov was pretty effective in that respect. He changed levels, came down to Canelo's levels at certain times. You have to change levels all the time. You can't just stay at one level. You got to change levels, so the guy doesn't know. You have to be able to get under Ruiz's punches as well. It's a lot of stuff he has to do. It's going to be hard for him to win. Tangible Boxing says, Frederick Hawthorne, comparing Deontay Wilder to Muhammad Ali, he needs to deactivate his challenge. Well, they're talking about the championship wins, that he has 10 championship defenses. That's why they're comparing him to Muhammad Ali. I don't think there's any other reason. It's funny. Oh, man. You guys are so brutal, though. The man's opinion is the man's opinion. I mean, he does have now, he's matched Muhammad Ali in terms of 10 championship defenses. It's so funny. Mr. Pigeon or Mike Tyson. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says Floyd and James Toney and B-Hop are all good rope game. But yeah. No doubt about that. Them guys know. Timothy Bradley had a good he could fight off the ropes pretty good too. Timothy Bradley had a good rope game. Corperno, Sweet Pea Whitaker had fantastic rope game. There's a couple of them. Who else had a good rope game? Mike McCallum, I think. I don't recall him being on the ropes much. Yeah, he had, but he usually wasn't on the ropes much though, so I can't really say. I think I saw him in a fight against the ropes. Let me tell you a couple other guys I think that have pretty good rope game. Shakur Stevenson, um, Javante Davis. They have pretty good rope game. Devin Haney. I know he uses the shell sometimes. I can't say. I never seen Devin Haney against the ropes. Excuse me, so I can't say. I have to see. Yeah. I'm thinking if Andre Ward has good rope game. I can't remember. I don't know. I know Hopkins does. Well, we got a lot of people up in here. Uh, Tangible Boxer says, Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson, don't say Floyd. Say FMJ instead. Look, I didn't speak the dude's name, right? It was Mr. Pigeon. I was deliberately trying to just not mention him. Boxing Monster, what you need? What's good, bro? Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good, my brother. Intangible Boxing says, Popeye's Monster, keep your HKHS profile pic. Okay. Boxing Monster says, Chauncey, I'm changing it tonight. Who's Chauncey? Y'all so clowny. Tangible Boxing says, what you gonna change it to? Boxing Monster says, I don't know yet. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, Ruiz versus AJ went down like Frank Bruno versus Tim Witherspoon. Interesting. Interesting. Tokyo Drift says, Ryder was robbed. End of. Okay, so you thought he won. In other words, definitely won the fight. I agree. He did definitely won the fight. I had it 7-5 though, but a clear 7-5. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, I see too much Frank Bruno in Joshua. Hands, fast hands, he do not like. And Ruiz got those Kawasaki hands fast. Yeah, he's pretty quick. Remind me of Pacquiao. His style's kind of like Pacquiao style, be honest. Except he can fire on the inside. Tangible Boxer says, did some film study. Devin Haney isn't ready for Tank, in my opinion. I mean, Tank is much sharper than Devin. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if he's even ready for Lomachenko. You know, time will tell. Time will tell. Intangible Boxer says, Boxing Monster now calls me Chauncey from menace to society. Y'all are such a trip. Tokyo Drift says, at Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson, Blood Boxing has been making the AJ Bruno comparison for years now. Have some originality. What? Oh my God. Oh man. Do I think AJ's like Frank Bruno? People have been saying that because, they say, Bruno was all hype, Olympic gold, and then his career went down the hill and the dude knocked his ass out. I don't know, man. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson's looking sad. He put a sad face. Y'all a trip, man. Y'all are funny as hell, man. Oh, you guys are funny. Anyways, yeah, so that's what I had to say about this fight. AJ is definitely better than Frank Bruno, in my opinion. I think so. But then if his career ends up like Frank Bruno's, then we may have a comparison where he just getting beat around the ring. He winning titles, but then he getting beat up. That would be terrible. But so far, he's come much further than Frank Bruno has, right? He's beaten a lot more top tier guys and stuff. I don't know. What I can say is I think that Anthony Joshua, even if he gets beat by Andy Ruiz the second time, I rooting for AJ hard though. I hear you, man. He's a nice personality to start with, and you know, he's doing like a true champion. He's rematching the dude to right the wrong. You know, that's what a true champion would do. Lennox Lewis obviously is biased towards Deontay Wilder. I put out a poll for you guys. Do you think that Wilder currently, right now, is the best heavyweight in the division? Now, some of you will say yes, and again, I can't be mad at y'all. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says AJ could be Ugly Harrison Mark II. Oh my God. He's done a lot more than Ugly Harrison, man. Come on. Tangible Boxing says going to do a keys to victory for both fighters, AJ and Ruiz. I hear you, man. I hear you. AJ's a great guy. I think so. I think so. Boxing Monster says AJ has more skills. Wilder fanboys tried to degrade AJ. Pigeon is a troll. You guys, you guys in real time are a hoot. Mr. Pigeon says, Boxing Monster, I do not hate AJ, but it could go very bad. It could go bad, very. It could be ugly, yeah. It could be an ugly fight. It depends. I don't know. He's got a big challenge in front of him. I don't even rate Deontay's record, huh? Listen, man. Listen. Let's talk about this thing. So, listen. Wait. Before you guys say anything, this is the reasoning that people have. Okay, they're saying that Deontay Wilder, he'd be better opposition than Tyson Fury this year, which is true. My thing though is that, and of course AJ lost to Andy Ruiz, so people are saying, well, then Deontay Wilder by default is the number one heavyweight in the division, right? Tyson Fury struggled with Otto Wilder. Well, he didn't struggle, but you know, he had a bad eye. So I understand where people are coming from. I just think that Dominic Brazil, while he moved up the rankings and all of that, I thought that Dominic Brazil was a more popular version of an Otto Wilder or not even an Otto Wilder. Otto Wilder got better defense than Dominic Brazil. Than the other guy that faced Tyson Fury. Okay, that's how I looked at it, because I didn't understand how Dominic Brazil could even get that far. But and the man is a footballer. You know that he didn't even have. He don't even have all of that amateur pedigree or anything, man. Anyway, so Dominic Brazil somehow managed. He's a tough guy and stuff. He can take punches and shit, but he's not a good boxer. He's not. But that's who Wilder faced this year. And then he faced a rematch with Ortiz. And I was thinking to myself, but that's a rematch though. And he knocked out Ortiz before. So he wasn't going to knock out Ortiz again? And I just thought that, you know, that doesn't make you number one heavyweight in the world, because you face, okay, Dominic Brazil is better than Otto Wilder. And, well, he's better than Otto Wilder in the sense that Otto Wilder is not known. Otto Wilder is obviously a better fighter than Dominic Brazil. We just didn't have the opportunities to get as far as Dominic Brazil. But, you know, the other guy, what's the other guy's name? I can't remember the other guy's name. Tyson Fury faced. Tyson Fury did no favors to himself by facing them two guys. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, Tyson Fury still beat Deontay Wilder unofficially. So I can't just give Deontay Wilder the number one spot unless he beats Tyson Fury. Unless you beat Tyson Fury, how can I? Or if Tyson Fury loses or something, you know, I can't really give you the number one spot. So I still have Tyson Fury above Deontay Wilder. I also picked Tyson Fury to beat Deontay Wilder the second time around. Because when I looked at the fight, Tyson Fury was protecting his body quite well. With the Otto Wilder fight, I don't know what was wrong with him. He stopped defending his body properly, and then on top of that, he then went on to fight him in fighting him. So he said, fuck rage. I'm going to beat this motherfucker down. And he started fighting him on the inside. So that was interesting. And this was weeks after I watched the fight. I didn't watch the fight at the time. I wasn't interested in it. And I clowned Tyson Fury for getting cut over the eye by Otto Wilder. He ain't supposed to get touched by him. Tangible Boxer says you call him Oddly 2.0. Boxing Mother pigeons are a nuisance. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says boxing, intangible boxing. He may be Oddly Mark 3. He starts getting KO'd by the top dudes. That's true. Next thing he gets KO'd by Chisora. That'll never. If that happens, man, he needs to retire from boxing for real. Tangible Boxer says Dominic Brazil is the least skilled professional fighter I've ever seen. Oh my god. That is funny, man. You know what, bro? The thing about it is, it actually is true. He's the least professional fighter I've ever seen. I don't know how he made it that far in boxing. They did rob some fighters to get him there, but oh my god. Mr. Pigeon says the juice, aka O.J. Simpson, at 60 years old would give Brazil problems. Oh my god. Tokyo Drift said, I thought Otto Wilder beat Fury. To me, Fury and Wilder are hype jobs, in my opinion. He did come back in the 12th round. He really gave it to Fury. This was the year of upsets, though. This is the year of upsets, so do think about it. The contenders that are coming out in these fights are really top notch, man. They proven us wrong. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson said Wallen won that by TKO. Okay, the cut. Because of the cut. But Fury, too much money riding on Fury. ESPN gave him $100 million, dude. $100 million. They're not gonna just have him lose. Hell, he was gonna fight if his eye was falling off. Oh, we gonna give him every single chance we can give him. Yeah, I hear that. Tangible Boxer says Anthony Yard in comparison to Brazil as Sugar Ray Robinson. Yes, Sugar Ray Robinson, technical and fundamental skills. I hear you, brother. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says Deontay is waiting to sneak the titles. Waiting to fight Ortiz. Then he takes them off Ruiz or AJ, I think. He'll try. If it's Ruiz, it's going to be a problem. He going to have a problem. He going to have a problem with Ruiz. I'm telling y'all, that fight is not going to go the way you think it's going to go. If Ruiz faces Anthony Joshua, trust me, Andy Ruiz is a problem. Y'all will see how much of a problem he is. Right? If he beats Anthony Joshua and he goes up against Deontay Wilder, watch and see how bad this motherfucker is. Ruiz is no joke. That fight could go to a split decision win for maybe they give it to Wilder, but it's not going to be an easy fight for Wilder. I guarantee you that. Yeah, two guys in the heavyweight division who are problems. Okay, Jarrell Miller and Andy Ruiz. They're problems. Trust me. Right? Those guys, you know, they have that skill set to get on the inside of those bigger, taller guys. And all Andy Ruiz has done all his career, which he's very good at doing, is fighting bigger guys than him. You know, and the same thing for the kickboxer dude, Jarrell Miller. But I think Ruiz is a better fighter than Miller. So, you know, that's just my opinion. I don't know. I may be wrong. Anthony Joshua might knock out Andy Ruiz. Who knows? But this one thing I'm pretty certain of. Andy Ruiz is a problem for all the heavyweights in the heavyweight division. Evander Holyfield said he was what Andy Ruiz was the guy that made him convinced that he needed to leave boxing. Holyfield said, man, I'm too old for this shit. I don't want to face this kid anymore. At the age of 46, he was like, no, I'm going to quit now. He said, Andy Ruiz does not let up on you. He's coming and he's bringing the heat. He's just a different kind. Joseph Parker was able to weather the storm, right? And that's just credit to Joseph Parker. Ain't nobody else doing that. And by the way, people thought that Andy Ruiz was robbed in that fight. So technically, Andy Ruiz is undefeated, right? So I don't know who thinks. I don't know what people are thinking, but that ain't gonna be a walk. That's not going to be a cakewalk for Deontay Wilder. It's not going to be a cakewalk at all. Andy Ruiz is a problem, and you will see. And he has the will to win, like all them young guns. He a young gun, right? Whereas Wilder was facing guys like old guys like Ortiz and guys like what's his name? Like slower guys like Duapas and all these guys like that. Andy Ruiz is not them. Andy Ruiz is not that. So if you're thinking he's equally as quick as Wilder on his feet, right? He's quick on his feet. He's much more precise, and he's definitely a better boxer. That's a recipe for disaster in the boxing ring. It's a recipe for disaster, trust me. And you've seen Ruiz upset Anthony Joshua. It's very possible he could upset Deontay Wilder. You could have him doing the skanky leg. Seriously, he could drop him all that. Ruiz is not a joke, folks. Oh yeah, we'll see. I think that's a guy that's a problem in the heavyweight division. He's the problem, I think Kubrat Pulev would beat Wilder or Fury. They're all gimmicked to extreme levels. You think so? Pulev? I don't know. Have I watched him fight? I don't think I've ever really watched him fight. Here's the thing. Wilder's very athletic and very quick. Okay? And see, the thing with Wilder is he's got quickness and speed on you. So he can get the angles. He can get in position, get the angles, and then tee off with his right hand. How he dropped Tyson Fury was because he got in position faster than Tyson Fury. He skipped in. And even then, Fury was able to take the steam off the punches because he rolled them as he was going down. But, Fury's a quick dude himself, right? You've got to have a certain degree of speed and quickness to deal with a Deontay Wilder. You just have to have it. So you can shuffle back as he's shuffling forward. You can maintain range the way how you need to maintain it. You can get on the inside pretty quickly off the jab or whatever. Because Wilder's, he's quick. He's a quick dude. And that's the thing a lot of people just don't get. Why he knocks out guys so quickly is because of his quickness. Before you can blink, he goes boom, boom, and that's it. Sometimes he ambushes you, and he catches you with a shot. Bam, bam, and that's it. It's over. You're dropping. Drop down. So that's the thing with Wilder. He's got that quickness. He's got that speed factor. That's what makes him so devastating. But in terms of like he's strong too. Don't get me wrong. He's very strong, but he's not really like in close. He not really. That's not his forte. He can fight on the inside, but it's not his forte. Andy Ruiz's forte is on the inside. He would hit you. He hit you a 6, 7, 8 punch combination on the inside. Wilder don't want that. He don't want that. He need to keep him at bay. That's gonna be hard to do because Andy Ruiz, that's what he do. He gets to the inside. He gets to the inside of you. He has patience. He can keep his composure. Stay on the outside. Stay on the outside. Feint you. Then jab to the pit, and then come back again and do it all over again. Once he gets on the inside, you're going to have a problem. Ask Joseph Parker. Okay? He survived him. Then he figured out, okay, I got to tie this motherfucker up somehow. So he would vary range a little bit. Wilder will have to do the same. Otherwise, Ruiz is going to just... Ruiz is a problem. Let's Tangible Boxer says, what you need, time to rid your channel of Wilder fanboys. It's like an infestation of ants. Look, man, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, if they, it is what it is. Cooper Pull-Up? No way, Mr. Pigeon. He's a dude who kissed Jenny Sushi, that Chinese lady reporter, on the lips. Pull-Up not beating those dudes, Fury and Deontay. He had to overcome the length and reach of those guys. If he doesn't know how to infight, I've never watched Pull-Up, so I can't really tell you. That's what I try to tell people. You have to watch the fighters. Don't take the word of somebody else talking about who they are. Always go and watch the fights, right? That's why I said to you guys, without mentioning any names, just talking about fighters, I can't talk about Harry Crab. I've never seen him fight. You know what I mean? So for me to say, he's the greatest boxer of all time, that's what other people say. I don't know. I myself can't confirm it because I've never seen him fight. I've only heard that Gene Tunney whooped his ass. And he was able to get a win over Gene Tunney, I think it was, once. And those kinds of things. I've seen, Sam Langford fight. I know what his style is like. And he's kind of like Canelo in the sense that he's a mid-range to inside fighter. That's his specialty. He don't really box off the back foot, shit like that, right? And he try to walk you down. But he, unlike Canelo, maybe it's because he was in a higher weight class when I saw him, but I think it was him versus Sam McVeigh. He got skill, though. The boy got skill, but again, a lot of people say a lot of things about him that I just didn't see. Like in his fights, I didn't see that. So it's just, again, when you see the actual fights, it makes a big difference, in my opinion. It makes a big difference. Of course, it depends on the quality of footage as well, because sometimes you can't see those little nuances, those little feints and shit. Like, with Kid Gavilan. When I started seeing better quality video of him, I got to see all the subtleties and the shit that he do. And it's really nice. He's sweet. He's nice. He reminds me of Sugar Ray Robinson as well. Both fundamentally sound fighters. Use the stick really nicely, but in addition to the stick, they can do a whole bunch of other stuff. Like he bob and weave. He could do it all. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he can do it all. And so that's the thing. Still got hit a little too much for me though. I like him. And he didn't solve the southpaw stance very well. He didn't do a good job of that. But then again, I guess they didn't really see a lot of southpaws back then. Because the dude that was awkward as fuck, he should have knocked his ass out, man. He should have knocked his ass out. I think he went 12. Well, I think he did stop him. Did he stop him? I think he stopped him. I think the ref called off the fight or something like that. But it took a while for him to figure the dude out. Yeah. But it's just the way how these things are. I don't think he's a Kid Chocolate. I always tell people, Kid Chocolate. For you guys who've never seen Kid Chocolate was featherweight, super featherweight champion. Challenge for the lightweight, super lightweight championship. You guys should check out Kid Chocolate. That motherfucker. And actually, Kid Chocolate inspired who was it? I got into boxing because of Kid Chocolate. I'm trying to remember who he is. Is it a heavyweight? I'm trying to remember who. I was watching it. Somebody was inspired by Kid Chocolate. That's what got him into boxing. It'll come to me in a minute. It'll come to me. Fighter. He was talking about it. I grew up watching Kid Chocolate. Who was that? Anyway, one of the great boxers of all time. It's coming to me and then it's disappearing. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section before I roll out of here. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, what will AJ do if he loses again? It's open season on him then? No. It's just that, styles make fights. Styles make fights. He might beat a bunch of other people, but styles make fights. Tokyo Drift says, maybe Wilder will KO Pulev, but I put my money on Pulev if he faced Fury. Fury and Wilder have extremely low output, but at least Wilder has a plan in mind setting up a counter. Fury's all talk. You think so? That's easier said than done. Remember, Fury's 6'9", and he moves fast for a 6'9" dude. Very, very fast. Unbelievably fast for a 6'9" dude. He's faster than Klitschko. And that's the thing that throws everybody off. And he's capable of doing it all. He can fight on the inside, the outside. Yeah, his punch output is not that great, but it's just how fast he moves. Tangible Boxing says, Pulep's claim to fame is doing the skanky leg against Klitschko. Oh, Klitschko messed him up. He did. Okay, then. If Klitschko messed him up, Fury would definitely mess him up, and Wilder would probably stop him. Fury might even stop him. Who knows? Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, I've watched Pulep's career closely. He's too old now, but maybe years ago he could give Fury issues, but not now. Okay. Pooby Sistron. What's up, Pooby? Got a lot of people up in here. By the way, shout out to Tokyo Drift. Nice to have you. If you think Fury has such a great defense, how come Wilder KO'd him and the refs say Fury with the 30-second count? Pooby, you trolling. You know Wilder did not KO him. And he lapsed on his defense. That was on him. He went on to win the rest of the round, though. He closed the distance on Wilder and did his thing. That's Fury's lapse in judgment. And Wilder jumped on it. He still didn't knock him out. And Wilder's supposed to be this great knockout artist. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, I never saw much of Julian Jackson fight. Every time I turned in by round 2, he was finishing off foam. Well, you can always watch the replays. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson. It was not a 30 count 9. He was okay. Got up and on 6, I think. The thing about it is, though, that it's not about 30 seconds even. It's about the ref counting to 10. You make it up before 10. Well, fight's on. And the ref has always done that. He's always told the people to take a walk over there, come back to me, hold their gloves, and get him going. So that's just how Jack Reese does his things. People are banking on Wilder knocking out Fury. Man, that means he has a puncher's chance, and that means Fury is going to win. And you saw, even Ortiz was outboxing his ass. According to you guys, I didn't see the fight, so I can't tell you. That's what you guys say. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, my robbery of the 20th century. Ernie Schaefer's versus Muhammad Ali. I've watched it 30 times and had it 8 rounds to 7 Ernie. I can't remember what it was about. I can't remember the fight. So you might be right, you might be wrong. I can't really say. I'll have to go watch it again. Tactical boxing. That's why I don't judge fighters' skills on an all-time scale. I judge them on resume accomplishments, barring them being Black Murder's Row. You have to judge them on skills, brother. When you watch a fight, that's how you know somebody's winning or not. It's the skills that they acquired that helps them to win the fight. How the hell? Boxing is the thing you learn. It's not something that you can just have talent and walk in there and just beat people up. It's skills. You do know what skills means, right? It's things you learn. It's your schooling. You have to judge them on their skills. I never understand why people say that. Then don't watch the fucking fights, man. How the hell you could talk about I can't judge fighters on their skills? Well, what the hell? How did John Ryder win the fight? You can't tell me because you can't judge him on his skills. I mean, come on, man. Inside fighting is a skill. Fighting off the ropes is a skill. Fighting southpaw is a skill. Using the high guard is a skill. Of course you have to judge them on their skills. How else are you going to... I never understood this shit. You guys say some crazy shit in boxing. Y'all say some crazy shit. I'm going to be serious. Didn't make no sense to me. I don't understand what you guys be saying. Oh my God. Intangible boxing. Not enough to be a robbery. I do agree with that. I don't think it was a robbery. because robbery means okay, he blew him out and stuff. He came from behind to win the fight, in my opinion. But I thought he definitely won the fight. I'll give you that. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson, huge robbery. Ali Schaefer's as no Ali legacy then. I guess so. Yeah, that Schaefer's probably beat his ass up. I haven't watched the fight in a while, so I can't remember what it was. Tangible Boxing says Kyle Froch was never one of the top 10 most skilled fighters in the world, yet he was top 10 pound. That have nothing to do with it, Ninja. You said you can't judge people based on their skills. It's only based on your skills you can be judged in a fight because you learn shit to do it. Whether it's pressure fighting, whatever it is, it's a skill. That's the thing you're not getting. So you have to judge fighters on skills. That's what they use in the ring. you know and even if you're talking about, okay, now I get what you're saying. You're saying, sometimes people say this guy has a lot of skills or whatever. Well, it's so commonplace now that people kind of water it down, but you have to have skills, right? It is your skills that get you to win a fight, and your home skills at that. The more honed your skills are, the better. The thing about having a lot of skill, and by a lot of skill it means learning a lot of stuff. You've been taught a lot of stuff, or you acquired a lot of stuff by learning, by seeing fighters, fighting fighters, and all of that. Skills and experience kind of go hand in hand to a certain degrees. You have more options in the ring. You see? So when we talk, you see, the problem with boxing is this, right? People think of skills as being a slick fighter or some shit like that, right? But if you have a lot of skills, it does increase your options. Now, whether you can make smart decisions in the ring or you can make favorable decisions to get the win in the ring, or your attitude in the ring, all of these things can determine. For instance, Luis Ortiz, much more skilled fighter than Deontay Wilder, right? Right? Didn't win the fight. Why? He got too confident and he walked straight into a trap. He underestimated Deontay Wilder and walked straight into the trap and he got his ass knocked out, right? So, yes, having a lot of skill, sometimes the more skilled fighter is winning the fight, and then the less skilled fighter, because he's determined and he has will and heart and shit, he ends up getting the win. Take, for instance, I always remember Mickey Bay versus John Molina. Mickey Bay was just outclassing John Molina's ass, right? It's the 10th and final round. There's only a couple of seconds left in the round. And John Molina hurts Mickey Bay and then stops him, right? But that was on Mickey Bay. Mickey Bay threw away that fight. He decided, I'm dominating so much, I'm going to engage this dude. The instructions given in the corner was, dude, do not engage, just win the fight. And that fucker went and disobeyed the rule, and he got his ass knocked out, right? So all I'm saying is, you can have all the skill in the world, even home skills and shit, but if you don't know how to make smart decisions in the ring, you don't know how to fight smart, you could lose. Adrian Broner, very skilled fighter, makes poor decisions in the ring. Sometimes you're not supposed to engage this dude and go toe-to-toe with him and throw combinations. You should be really, but he decides to go toe-to-toe with dudes sometimes. Tangible Boxing. I said I don't judge fighters' skills on an all-time scale. Read it. You have to, brother. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to. It's part of boxing. It's just a fundamental thing about boxing. Now, if you're talking about, this guy's a very skilled fighter and this guy's not, and therefore this guy is better than that guy. Well, technically speaking, it's true because he's got more options. Now, what he does, how does he make the decision, how he decides to use the skills is a different story. The guy might have two skills, right? He can punch, right? And he can block punches. That's all he got. He ain't got good footwork, nothing, right? But he uses those skills to the hilt, and he's able to beat a fighter who should beat him because he has more skills, but does not make the proper calls and judgment, whether it's because of lack of experience or whatever. So you can't just look at skills alone, that's how I would put it, and say that because this guy has all these skills in the world, that he would beat this other guy. But you have to factor in skills. Now, if it's a smart fighter and he has skills, you have to include those things because, like they say, skills do pay the bills. And let me tell you, the guys who develop their skills and hone their skills are generally the guys who are at the top of boxing. It's just what it is. All right? It's what it is because this skills are not things. Skills are not things you're born with. And you have to be teachable in boxing. And you should be learning something new every day. If you're not learning nothing in boxing, then what the fuck you doing in boxing? Okay? Because you have to be ahead of the curve all the time. And the only way you do that is by acquiring skills. Now, how you use them is a different story, but the more skills you have, the more tools you have in the tool bag, the more advantage. That's why Andre Ward said he had to learn the skills of infighting. He did not like infighting, but Virgil Hunter made him learn those skills. Okay? And they come in handy in the end. We were just talking about how Callum Smith don't have infighting skills like that. And that's what makes him vulnerable. So the more skills you have is the more tools you have in the tool bag, which makes it harder to beat you once you know when to use what skill and how. Everybody be talking about the shoulder roll and the Philly shell defense. Floyd don't always use that shit. Okay? He doesn't always use it. Why? Because at times it's not sufficient to keep his defense in point, or he can't transition from defense to offense like he wants to. So he has to use different things, which means it's a different skill. It's not just shoulder rolling that he has. I mentioned Floyd. I just realized that. So, but he is the gold standard anyway for this year. But the point is, you can't just be one-dimensional in boxing and expect to be at the top of the game. You can't. You have to look for every single edge. Even the guys who are pressure fighters, they have a multitude of skills that allows them to be effective in pressure fighting. They can't just have pressure fighting skills alone, which involves a number of different things. There are different kinds of pressure fighters and all of that. But I'm just saying, you have to have it. There's going to come a time, like Julio Cesar Chavez realized against, what's his name? Jose Ramirez. He realized he had to box Jose Ramirez. He wasn't going to pressure fight him. You can't pressure fight Jose Ramirez. He'll beat your ass. So you have to, on an all-time scale, you have to judge them based on their skills. You have to. That's a factor in it. It's not the only thing. It's not the only thing, but it is a factor. You can't deny it. It's not the most important thing, if you want to say that. But it is an important thing. That's why we say you have to, if you really want to truly assess a fighter, you have to see them fight so you could judge and assess what their style is, what skills they bring to the table, how effective they are with their skills, what kind of decision making they make. And then the other thing you have to look at, of course, like you have been saying so truly, and I agree with you 100%, is their resume, also their accomplishments in the field of boxing. I agree with you. But you cannot deny their skills. Because when you talk about pound for pound, when you talk about Boxing Hall of Fame, when you talk about the best fighter out there, not the greatest fighter out there, the best fighter out there, right? These are things you have to factor in. You have to. You can't just look. Because remember, sometimes a fighter wins a fight officially, but they didn't win the fight unofficially. Right? Case in point, Callum Smith just won a fight that he shouldn't have won. John Ryder won the fight, right? So, and that's because of a multitude of factors. One of them is his deficiency in skills to handle a guy on the inside, right? Why is this important? If we're talking about the best versus the best, especially if we're talking pound for pound, we're saying, hypothetically, if I match up this fighter with this fighter, what would happen, right? Clearly, you have to know what both fighters look like in the ring. That's what we do. When we do prediction videos for fights, we look at previous fights the fighters had to understand their style, to understand their deficiencies, to understand their strengths, what they're good at, their also composition, their mental composition, their spiritual composition, their fortitude, and all of that, right? They show us that in the ring. So that's how we know that not necessarily the matchup that they're going to bring to each other is going to be the same kind of fight as the fights he fought before. But what we know is they bring certain things to the table. So that's why we look at their skill set. We look at their mentality. We look at their their mental fortitude, etc., etc., etc. Right? Well, the same thing goes for hypothetical situation when you're talking about pound for pound, or when you're talking about the best fighter ever, or if you're talking about what did I say? But I think that's it, right? So that's you got to do the same thing because it's kind of like a prediction video where you're saying, okay, if this guy was to match this guy at the same weight, this is what would happen. This is what you're basically saying. You're giving a hypothetical situation, right? So that's why I say these things. Like you have to see. That's why I'd say watching fights is important because not everything that's reported, say for instance back in the day in the 1920s, 1930s, where the newspapers were reporting everything. Well, 1920s mostly, it was a newspaper thing, right? It was a different era and everything. The way how the fights were scored and judged, the referee was scoring fights, not the judges and all of that, right? So it was a lot more arbitrary. It was a lot more prehistoric. It was a lot more archaic. Television wasn't around like that. So most people read things in the papers. Unless you could go live to the fight, which was a big thing. You wouldn't be able to see it live. The point behind that is this. With all of that stuff going on, if you could see some footage of the fighters, even just small footage of the fighters, to get an idea of their style, because their style won't change over time. People don't change their styles particularly. They do certain things and they do certain things. It's just what they do. Floyd pull counter, pull counter, pull counter. Canelo's known for body punching. That's what he do, right? He didn't never change over time. He never body punching. That's what he do. So there's certain things that certain fighters do, and they never change. Thomas Hearns, 1-2, good with a 1-2, 1-2, all the way true. Emmanuel Stewart straightened out his right and stuff like that, but essentially he was the same guy over and over again. Okay, left hook, 1-2, hook to the body, liver shot. Those Hearns, right? Just tucking it offensively. Just certain trademark things that these guys did. Alfredo Lopez, left hook to the body. Don't change. Left hook to the body. Lots of Mexican fighters. Left hook to the body. Marquez, left hook to the body, right? So the idea, the point I'm getting to is this. That based on when you know a fighter's style, what they generally are known for, what they generally can do, that helps a lot. Because now if you're going to match up two fighters, you know what kind of fight to expect. If the fight is going in a certain fighter's favor, you know what kind of fight you would see. See, it's that kind of thing I'm talking about. So that's important for like all time when you're going through time, because there's so many things that changed since then till now. You can't, like, okay, take for instance, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? Fought a lot of tomato cans, but he fought a lot of great fighters. It was a different era. It was an era where he had stay busy fights in between, not so much sparring with fighters. Guys stayed in shape by fighting fights, okay? So it's kind of unfair to assess him with a modern day fighter like Oscar De La Hoya or Pernell Whitaker or even Sugar Ray Leonard, who only had like under 50 fights, right? And you're like, oh, well, Julio Cesar Chavez, he fought 100-something fights. Yeah, he did, but a lot of those fights were non-competitive fights. It was just for him to stay sharp. Whereas in the Oscar De La Hoya, Pernell Whitaker, Sugar Ray Leonard eras, these guys fought top-tier competition on a regular. And they sparred a lot more, right? So how do we compare it? When we look at all the best wins of best fights, top-tier fights of Julio Cesar Chavez, we look at all the top-tier fights of Pernell Whitaker, we look at all the top-tier fights of Sugar Ray Leonard, we look at all the top-tier fights of Oscar De La Hoya, right? But we don't just look at them by a resume, we go and we watch them, right? And the reason we do that is because we want to see if Oscar really won this fight. If Julio Cesar Chavez really won this fight, what did he have some difficulty with his style, with this style, and so on and so on and so on. It reveals. So that if I match up Julio Cesar Chavez versus Oscar De La Hoya, yeah, I know Oscar De La Hoya beat Julio Cesar Chavez, I know. But if I match them up, it makes sense. Now when you look at it, even if you were to go and watch like the real fight, between Oscar De La Hoya and Jose Chavez, you're like, ah, yeah, yeah, I can see why, yeah, I can see why he beat him that way, right? Because you're watching the styles. Styles make fights. Now, there's a lot more to the than just styles. There's a lot of things, motivation, whose backyard you're in, so many other conditions and factors, age, are you coming off your best wins, all that stuff, right? But the point is, at the end of the day, you're looking at certain essential things which will tell you what kind of fight to expect. You see, and that's the whole point behind the thing. Um, and that's how you're able to get good predictions on fights. And that's also, if you really do your homework, you know how to predict. You probably predict fights 100% correct. Coach Eric Bradley, he's very rarely wrong about fights because he really takes his time, breaks it down for us, marinates it in his mind, and goes over it a number of times before he actually makes a prediction. Andrew was the same thing. So my point being that if we take our time and assess it, we'll be able to get a proper assessment of guys. And that's all I'm saying. Right? Pound for Pound is a Ring Magazine bullshit. No, actually, it was started by it was Pound for Pound started after somewhere in the 30s or something like that. It was retroactively, I guess. I don't know. You might be right. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, "Are you frotch?" What's that supposed to mean? Intelligent Bucks says, "I never said I don't judge fights based on who's showing the most skill." Tangible Boxing says, "Nah." Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, "Pound for Pound created to give Oscar De La Hoya a hard on." Oh man, you guys are so funny. Intangible Boxing says, for example, if I want to create an all-time list, but there are fighters I have not watched or can't watch, I can't use that as a criteria. Nor do I have to. FMJ had more skill than Armstrong, but did he? Are you sure about that? What do you mean by that? But one half Armstrong's accomplishment, a lot more. He had 66 victories over ring-rated opponents, even with those inferior skills. See, I don't know how you rate skills. That's the thing. Why do you say inferior? Like, different fighters have different skill sets, right? And Henry Armstrong was an infighter. And he did it fucking well. Very, very well. So I can't really, and he bobbed and weaved and all that shit. So I can't say, you see, you have to look at them first. Before we even go and just say, we just assume that FMJ has more skills than Henry H.A., we have to at least look at what are their skills? What do they bring to the table? Right? So that's the thing I'm trying to say. It's like, yeah, Henry Armstrong accomplished a lot in boxing. Like he had 66 victories. Yes, he had 66 victories. How many rematches did he have? How many opponents did he knock out and still rematch them, like how Deontay Wilder's doing? So when you say 66 victories against who? And how many times did he face them? And that's the thing that sometimes you may not. I think he's the greatest welterweight of all time. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, remember Virgil Hill? Ooh, a bad dude he was. Yes, sir. He was a bad motherfucker. Mr. Pigeon Mike Tyson says, James Toney used defense too much at times. Yeah, sometimes he was a little bit too defensive, but he countered off the defense really beautifully. Intangible Boxer says, the original master of the pull counter, Muhammad Ali. Joe Louis used to pull counter too, I think. And check hook. He just did it in a different, not as flairful way. And not with necessarily the reaction time from Muhammad Ali, but I mean, I think Joe Louis pulled counter. The pull counter has been around for God knows how long. But it's just how it's executed. Each boxer has their own flair and style to doing it. Muhammad Ali pull counter beautifully. In fact, I think he pull countered Sonny Liston. That's how he put him down, right? That short chopping, right? Poovy Sistrunk, why Floyd didn't let Manny Pacquiao heal his rotator cuff before fighting? Well, how does I don't even know how to answer that. Like, didn't Manny say he injured his rotator cuff in the fight in the fourth round? Yeah, he was injured before, but was doing well or some shit like that. That was the excuse. I mean, why didn't Manny let Floyd heal up his both arms and get surgery and shit before he faced him? I don't know how to answer that question, man. I just like, I, I don't know how to answer that question. That question is like, I don't even understand it. Like that question's, I don't know how to answer that question. That's a question that's like, I don't know. It's just not easy to. I mean, it's how realistic is that question? I don't even. Intangible Box says, I also read government stored archives to look at post fight analysis of old fights. That's cool, man. That's cool. You know, but if you're talking about the real old fights, it was newspaper clippings mostly, because newspapers used to score the fight as well. It was the referee and newspapers. Oh, cool, cool. Yeah. I heard Sam Blanchard versus Joe Gans earlier. Yeah, Barbados Joe Walcott too. He was a bad motherfucker as well. I learned about him from I think it was uh what's his name? Boxing Beats and Rhymes. And Grab versus Norfolk. Yeah. Two, I think. Norfolk arguably beat Grab in that one, I heard. Yep. I heard so too. I heard so too. But again, hearing something and seeing something is just like totally different, man. Learned about Barbados Joe Walker from Bloodbusting. Yeah, cool. I think I got it from Boxing Beats and Rhymes section, because I was talking about Jersey Joe Walker and was like, no, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Barbados Joe Walker. I was like, what? Started reading up on him. He wasn't from Barbados though. He's from Guyana, but it is what it is. Yeah, man. There was some bad motherfuckers. Let me tell you some bad motherfuckers that never got to Sam McVeigh. Harry motherfucking Wills. Harry Wills was a bad motherfucker. I was a bad motherfucker, okay? Ezra Charles was another bad motherfucker, okay? Harry Wills used to beat everybody ass. Everybody, they talk about Sam Langford and stuff. I know he was 6'2" and all of that, but Harry Wills, and I saw him box. The motherfucker was slick too. Sick. I loved him. They talk about Sam Langford because of his achievement. He's like a Pacquiao. Come up in weight and shit, but Harry Wills was a bad motherfucker, okay? They don't talk too much about him, but he was bad. I loved him. Watching him fight was nice. But anyway, and Ezra Charles was a bad motherfucker. I think he was the best light heavyweight of all time, in my personal opinion. Not Archie Moore. Archie Moore was good though. Became world champion at 39. Like Jersey Joe Walker became world champion at 30. What was it? 30 something too? Up in the 30s. These motherfuckers been around. They just can't get title shots. They was ducking Archie Moore. They ducked him like the plague. He finally got a shot. I mean, he did get his ass beat by different people, but he finally got his shot, man. Yeah, he was never a heavyweight though. I don't know what he was trying to do, hanging out at heavyweight. Should just stayed at light heavy. And he was like old. Muhammad Ali fought an old ass Archie Moore. I think he was in his 40s. This motherfucker's in fighting. Crazy. Yeah. Archie Moore. Yeah, Boxing Beats and Rhymes said that Julio Cesar Chavez has great defense, and I was like, what? He said, well, he bobbed and weaved, and he wasn't getting hit flush. His especially at super featherweight, and I was like, I don't even know what to say about that. I couldn't believe what I heard. He said he had great defense. I was like, what? They also say Roberto Duran had great defense, which I disagree with. He had good defense, but he didn't have great defense. He got hit too fucking flush, too many times. Pooby Sistrong says, explain to me why you hate MMA. That's easy. You guys hate guys clinching, right? Why the fuck would I want to watch people clinching on the ground, for crying out loud? No, 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 no. That's not for me. It's just not a sport for me. Tangible boxing. Okay. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. was the best Mexican fighter ever, in my opinion. So what do you think of Salvador Sanchez? You think he was better than Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.? What do you think? Salvador Sanchez. Tangible boxing. Not overrated. More underrated. Okay. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know. Salvador Sanchez is another one that they talk about. Chavez Sr. was a 3-divisional champ. Beat 16 champs. Yeah, but I mean, Salvador Sanchez, he beat a lot of guys, beat a lot of champions as well. He beat Wilfredo Gomez. He beat Azuma Nelson. He beat if he Tangible Boxing says he beat Rosario, Camacho, Hogan, Mayweather. Yeah, yeah. Terry, Mildred Taylor. Yeah, he beat a couple guys. Um, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But my thing is this. I mean, Salvador Sanchez, I have to go check his record. But Salvador Sanchez beat a bunch of champions too. Unfortunately, he met his death too soon, but he beat a bunch of champions too. Just saying. Different people have. You're talking about greatest, so that's up for different people have different things when they talk about greatest, so I can't really knock you. Les Darcy. Tell me about Les Darcy. Yeah, man. I mean, like I said before, the thing about it is, like I said before, but boxing, it's better you see it than you hear about it, because other people's opinion of something, sometimes you may totally differ from them, or just having a couple years distance from the thing and having a greater knowledge of what the sport is, makes you see things differently. Back in the day when I was younger, and when Leonard beat Donnie Lalonde, was a huge thing. It was a big deal. Nowadays, we know that's how the 168 division was born, thanks to Leonard. And he didn't really fight Donnie Lalonde at his full weight. So there's always an asterisk on that win. Great fight. But Donnie Lalonde wasn't at his best. It takes away a little bit of the shine from the win. So Les Darcy fought at heavyweight and middleweight, won regional titles, and beat George Chip, KO'd Brown, Fred Dyer, and more. Died at 21. Whew, wow. He was very young. What What era is this? What era? What time? I guess I'll check it out. I like when you guys bring up names that I never heard before. That's the kind of shit I like. 1910s. Okay, it's pretty early though. That's not that far away from bare knuckle brawls. He probably died of tuberculosis like Harry Greb. Was it TB that took him out? Yeah. So that's basically what I got. It's 11 something in the night. I need to go sleep, but it was good talking with you guys, man. So that's what I saw with the Callum Smith fight. Don't forget, people, you can subscribe to my channel, share my videos. If you want, you can comment here or below. And also, don't forget, you can donate via Western Union or MoneyGram. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for the tip on Les Darcy. You guys should check out Les Darcy. I'll not be able to do the video series boxing up, talk much about. Still have to work on video editing software for this phone. I may be able to have a call-in program with you guys depending on what happens with my other phone. I sent it to fix because its warranty was there. So I sent it to fix to see what will happen with that. I'm selling online things, but that's a whole other story for another day. So I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace to you guys. Have a good night. I'm out.